You should never underestimate how deadly a headache can really be. Now, in this video, we're going to go through the 7 signs that the headaches that you have on a day to day basis aren't exactly normal, and what you should do if you're getting any of these specific types of headaches. Without any further ado, let's get started, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Since I was about 11, I've had some pretty severe migraines. They paralyze me. I can't speak sometimes. I can't see sometimes. It's really hard to do anything. And it feels like your eyes are going to pop out of your head, really, if you think about it. But migraines as a whole, they can be pretty deadly. And they're not something that will just go away naturally. If it gets persistent, if you find that it's interfering with your day-to-day life, you should consider talking to your doctor immediately, or even just go to the ER and talk to a doctor there. They'll do some scans on you. Maybe they can see what's going on. Maybe they can't. Maybe it's a mental health issue, because depression, anxiety, panic, they kind of all trigger migraines at one point. So it's also important to take into consideration if you've never had migraines, but now you seem to get them on a day-to-day basis, constantly, non-stop, you need to talk to your doctor, and they need to know about that change, because they have to order the test on your brain to make sure nothing bad's happening, nothing cancerous, tumors. Migraines, there can be a lot of causes for them, and it's good to keep alert and make sure that you have them at bay. Okay, so before we jump into the video, we're going to go through 2 natural methods that you can use to help you reduce your migraines. There's actually 3, but the third one I don't really know too well. So I'll go into the first 2, and then we'll go back into the actual 7 signs. So the first one is called the pencil method. When you're stressed, you automatically strain the muscle that runs between your jaw and your ear, going up, and that causes you to get a migraine. Now, to relieve the stress on this muscle, you can take a pencil, put it between your mouth. Let me see if I have something here to use for example. I don't, but I'll use a crochet hook. See? And don't bite down on it. And that can help relieve the stress that's on your jaw muscle and help it relax. So that way your headache can eventually fade away. Now, the next one is for sinus headaches. And this one you can use peppermint oil, but you have to dilute it because it's very concentrated. So dilute it with baby oil, and just massage your temples, around your forehead, and this can help you relieve the stress because of the methanol in the peppermint oil. It's also important to know that with migraines, most of the time your chances are good that they're not too deadly and they're not life-threatening. But you can never take that risk because you never know. A vast majority of people think migraines automatically means they have a brain tumor. That's not always the cause. It can also be, again, a mental health issue, just stress. Maybe you're dealing with PTSD or traumatic experience. And with headaches, the symptoms usually differentiate from people to people, and they're not always the same. That's why they're also kind of hard to diagnose. There's always a lot of tests you have to do to try and get an actual answer. But on the other hand, there are some warning signs that your headache is a true medical emergency. And we're going to go through what you should be looking for. Okay, the thunderclap headache. If you have a severe headache that comes on all of a sudden, like flicking on the light switch, throwing something in the blender, getting smacked in the face with a hammer, that's something to take seriously. It could be a brain hemorrhage or bleeding within your brain caused by a leaking aneurysm. Again, that's research, right? And we'll go through some signs of how to spot an aneurysm in the next video. That's a very dangerous headache, and it's important to know that you should call 911 immediately or have someone take you to the nearest emergency room as soon as possible. You don't want to mess around with these kind of headaches, because when it comes down to it, these ones are probably the most deadliest headaches that you can have. And just to be clear too, it's not a sharp pain that recedes in a matter of seconds or minutes. It won't go away quickly, but you don't want to make the mistake of taking heavy pain medication and going to sleep. That could be your one-way ticket up to, the big guy upstairs. Always be alert of your headaches. This one I can relate to, and it's your headaches change tune. If you experience migraines or tension headaches, an especially severe headache, while terrible, isn't necessarily something you should worry about. One way to think about it is if the quality of your headaches are songs. Is this the same song, but with the volume tuned up higher? If the answer is yes, that's pretty reassuring. What you should worry about is if the song changes, meaning your headaches feel both severe and different from what you normally experience. If that's the case, again, you should go to the ER right away. You don't want to necessarily just shrug off a migraine. The next point is your headaches aren't your only issue. A bad headache, which is accompanied by a fever, could be a warning sign of inflammation of the brain, especially if your bad headache and fever are accompanied by an altered mental state, which such as you can't remember your kids or you're otherwise acting unlike yourself. This is a good reason to call 911 or head to the ER immediately. You don't want to play with this one because this is how you can end up getting a stroke too. Now, the next point is actually my life. The ache is behind or around your eye. This is an everyday occurrence for me. I always have aches behind my eyes and I never know why. It's very annoying. So, if you have a headache with eye pain, and especially if you have a change in your vision, that's an emergency. The big concern here is acute glaucoma, or a buildup of pressure in your eye that cuts off its blood flow and can result in blindness. My migraines do make me blind, but I'm not sure of this one because I've seen so many neurologists, I've done so many tests, everything comes back normal. So I'm not sure, maybe it's just a conspiracy against me, but I shouldn't ramble. Basically, an example is if you go to the movies and the lights die down, your vision changes, right? So imagine that change causes pressure in your eyes, and that leads to headache and other symptoms. The pain is concentrated in your temple. In most cases, the placement of your headaches isn't an indication of anything scary. But if you're over the age of 50 and your headaches feels tightly focused in one or both of your temples, this could be a sign of temporal arteritis, a condition in which the arteries in your temples become inflamed. Especially if you have blurry vision or a fever, you want to see a doctor immediately. It can result in loss of vision if you don't treat it. You bumped your head and you're on blood thinners. If you knock your head and you're on blood thinners, a headache could indicate a subdural hematoma, or a kind of slow bleed inside your brain. Thanks to those thinners, doesn't clot. The situation could be deadly, and you should go to an ER immediately too. This one is interesting. Your headache is contagious. If people around you, your family, maybe coworkers, are complaining about their heads at the same time you're experiencing an unusual ache, it could be a sign of carbon monoxide poisoning. It's always good to check your CO2 detectors all over your apartment, open your windows, open your doors, and if the headaches still persist, call someone to come inspect it, because CO2 poisoning can kill you in your sleep. That's not something you should really play around with. And with that, this was just a short video on some signs and a few different kinds of headaches and things you should look out for to know whether or not your migraines are normal. I thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.